Good morning, YouTube. Archman here with a little talk on some Chris Reeve knives. It looks like it's pretty out of focus. What's going on? Focus fucker. I wonder what I'm just gonna move my tripod a little bit and see if it's a lighting issue. I don't know what's going on. I'm just gonna see if I can shift everything here. Oh, fuck. Well, give me a sec. Well, that's a first. I spilt my coffee because I'm a fucking jackass. That's what happens when you do live videos. You fuck up sometimes. Yeah, I just thought I would talk a little bit about, I don't know, the subtle differences in these knives here. If you see the description, the video title, it says something like, what does it say? Which Chris Reeve folder is just right? And you know, I've omitted the Num Zon because the Num Zon lasted about 1 week in my rotation. I just didn't like it. There were all kinds of things I didn't really like about the Num Zon. And probably the number one thing I don't like about the Num Zon personally is I just don't think it's very aesthetically pleasing, especially like the stock milling pattern. Like maybe the Wilson Combats, if they made a plain Num on, I might dig that. Well, that was funny with the coffee spill. But God, it still is a little out of focus though, isn't it? Let's see. So that's relatively in focus. When we pull out here, for some reason, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to get the camera just a hair closer and see what that does on my tripod. Maybe a little better? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I think it's just aesthetics that the Nums on. And then it's got that kind of like really sharp lock bar kind of grip thing milled into it going on, which I don't really care for either. Boy, my coffee cup was very full. Well, that was a mistake, son. Yeah, so you know, for me, you know, I bought the small Nkosi, kind of like having the Nums on. It was just like I wanted to have an opinion on it, but I really like the small Nkosi. So, I mean, right off the bat, I didn't really love it in the store. I actually bought it in a brick and mortar store. If you've watched that video, and I was like, oh fuck, man, but I wanted to just be able to have an opinion on it. So. But man, I really like it. Like it's different with the Nums on. The Nums on literally was like, didn't like it from the get go, didn't like it after a few days, and ended up selling it or trading it. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. I don't remember if I made a video on it either. I think I didn't because I was just so like not happy with it. But I might have. I don't know. If you look in videos from like the 2008-ish area, I might have a Nums on video there. But I don't think I did. Or if I did, I erased it because it was overwhelmingly negative. Anyway, so this video was spawned by a Facebook question, and over on the Chris Reeve Knives Facebook group, the Chris Reeve Knives Collectors or something like that, appreciation group, shit, I can't remember what it's called. And the guy was just kind of like, you know, shit, like kind of all of us, you know, starting off, you're like, all right, you know, this is a major commitment. I'm about to fucking spend $400 on a fucking knife, which I never thought I would do. I'm having to sell some shit, whatever it is. You're switching interests and you're justifying this commitment, you know, and like, and it's, we all know this. Suddenly, at some point, you go, I'm gonna fucking eat sack lunches for the next few weeks because I fucking really want to try out a Nkosi or whatever it is, you know. So we all know this. That's how it ends up, you know, being. But at first, it's like, oh my God, you know, you got to make room in your life and your lifestyle and just everything for it. And it's a big commitment. And coming into it, you know, I think the biggest, the most, the prevailing thought for me, honestly, is like, it doesn't fucking matter, man. I mean, like, you know, probably one of the best things to do really is just go off of aesthetics, you know? I mean, And then maybe take a little with a grain of salt somebody's opinion on like ergonomics or whatever. Anybody who fucking says, oh, it fits my hand like it was made for it. That is bullshit. Like, never believe that. Don't ever consider that that's real because it's just not. There's only knives that fit your hand like they're made for it are not broken in the middle. Only fixed blade knives actually can do that. Um, Unless you just have some goofy ass fucking design that just happens to fit the maker's hand just right with all kinds of fucking grooves and swales and fucking finger choils and you know weird offset roundness and crazy shit going on like that. So that is bullshit. That's the number one thing that I would really like to drive home with this video is like take ergonomics and flush that shit down the toilet unless you're just gonna buy a fixed blade, because it's just that's not how people use knives. Like you get like these fucking, you know, tabletop YouTube reviewers, like all my reviews these days, and they grab it and they hold it. Oh, there's a hot spot here, and oh man, it's like that is not like how often do you fucking go to do something with your knife and you grab it with just like a hammer grip, and that's what everybody does. Oh, ergo's hot spot. Never, So like you grab a knife. Don't overthink it. Don't put your fingers, just grab a knife, use it. Use it, do some different tasks with it. You'll find if you're not forcing yourself to, that you're gonna change the way that you hold the knife depending on the knife, which knife you're using, and also depending on, what you're doing with the knife. So there is no like one way of holding a knife. So ergos kind of go out the window. These knives for me are like EDC knives. So a person's uses are huge too. Like unfortunately we have laws and legality, issues that come into play. We've got like zoning, that comes into play. It's not widespread. We have like person's activities and lifestyles. For one person, a small Sebenza could be just all you ever need. My first Chris Reeve knife was a small regular Sebenza back in 2001. Same thing, just like everybody else starting off. I tracked one down. This, back in that day, there was no YouTube, there were no videos, there was no like. You're lucky if you could get the shittiest grainy video of someone handling one of these things. So I tracked it down, went to a gun show, fucking went to this guy's little booth at the gun show, and sure enough, he had 3 or 4 Sebenzas, a couple one-piece knives, whatever. And I grabbed it, I handled it for 2 seconds and was like, all right, this is not your fucking average Benchmade. And went back out to the truck, grabbed this is in Texas, and it was also in 2001, grabbed the firearm that I brought for collateral, sold that off and bought my first Sebenza. That was back when small Sebenzas were $305. No big deal. So yeah, and I kind of never looked back. I've kind of waxed and waned as far as like the occasional Benchmade or Spyderco. Most of my knife collection is Spydercos because after all, my number one use for a knife is using it and like trying not to overthink it, trying to, just make my life more simple. But that small Sebenza did me great for years and years because at that time I was an administrative technician for the Texas Department of Health. Essentially, I was like a secretary, so I was pushing papers, working in an office. I was the only one, I worked for the general counsel in the whole damn office who had any kind of cutting tools. So people were constantly, hey Arch, let me see that switchblade, like giving me shit about it or whatever. But, it worked well. And it wasn't until I started guiding that I actually moved to the Big Bend area of Southwest Texas and started guiding on the river. I was like, fuck office work, this is bullshit, I can't stand it. And that was when I put my first, actually I bought a Microtech LCC, the Lightfoot Compact Combat. And then that was the 3.5 inch knife. So I kind of started using that knife and I was like, oh fuck man. That was right around the time when those went from a regular knife to a collector's item. So I kind of was just like, fuck, I really like this 3.5 inch blade. So I pushed a large Semenza into the rotation. And man, I never looked back. Like as after that, living in a very rural area as a guide, um, heavily relying on my knife, just as an easy EDC tool, and just as I would use it to, as food prep and to impress my guests, and they just fucking loved it. Um, so that showed me, like a large Sebenza or a large Chris Reeve knife is it actually is a lot more capable than a small Chris Reeve knife. So I mean, if you're doing a lot of food prep, if you're doing a lot of um, just kind of like hard use cutting, like if you're like one thing that I did a lot is I became like one of the head boat maintenance guys for the rafting, both rafting companies that I worked for long term. So I would relace floors, so you're cutting webbing all day, and you're like, so for that kind of thing, if if you're going to use it a lot and you're not in a city, well, I guess fuck, man, it's tough. The laws are tough. So I mean, that's one area where I can't really get into. One thing I would say is just keep your nose clean, and you're not going to be, you know, having any interactions with law enforcement. We all want to avoid that, obviously, for financial and just every other fucking reason. It sucks every dick on F Street to be in altercation with the police. But yeah, so for me, I live in a small town in Colorado now. I'm a full-time self-employed carpenter. This large Nkosi here gets, I mean, I carry this knife more than I carry all the rest of these knives combined. The 31 obviously is pretty new, and it just got back from the Chris Reeve Knives shop, getting a little bit of blade, side-to-side play addressed, and but I do intend to press this guy in to rotation. For me, when I'm looking at these knives and I see one knife, if I kind of was to go through the list of, okay, what's necessary? Obviously, no Chris Reeve knife is necessary. This is necessary. So I have this out too because this is necessary. But it's a big old fucking knife, man. Again, if you're talking like legality issues, maybe not the best choice. But I don't know, when I'm looking at my screen here, and I'm looking at these knives, and I'm thinking, necessary, not necessary, legal, comfortable, usable, like all those kind of things. I like to go with like process of elimination with stuff like that. So I would not just go, that's the one, or whatever. I would kind of go, this one could go. Hold on, let my dog in. Come on, Lulu. Good girl. So yeah, to me, just right off the bat, the first thing to go would be, I don't know what you're thinking, but I don't know, the first thing for me to go would be the 31. Only because, I don't know, I really kind of like the plain Sabenzas. If the inlaid Sabenzas and the plain Sabenzas cost the same amount of money, I bet you still would see a reasonable offset. It wouldn't be like everyone, well, fuck, obviously you get the inlay. I don't know, man. It's like, it's a little busy, for me. I got it just because it's new and unique, and if there's one thing that you're gonna notice, there's a big difference on the 31. Those of us who look for details obviously will see them, but it's that inlay, So I kind of wanted to experience that. Honestly, my number one thing that I wanted with my 31 is double lugs, because I've really just been enjoying the shit out of those on my Nkosi, this Nkosi here. So both Nkosis all come with double lugs, so that's another thing to consider too. What's up, man? A little Chris Reeve talk here, of course. So yeah, I got a fucking boner for Chris Reeve knives right now for some reason. I really do think that all things considered, they are the finest knife you can buy right now. Every knife with mechanisms similar to these, man, just those paper thin fucking micron tolerances, they make a difference. And that's one of the reasons I like the Chris Reeve knives. But the other, it's the full package for me. I love S35VN. That's no secret if you watch any of my videos. I love Chris Reeves' heat treat on S35VN. It's just the opposite. Every fucking person who says, "Oh, nice, man," I have not tried the carbon fiber ones. I guess I'm just a little nervous. I'm like, titanium stronger than carbon fiber. I don't know, but I love the simplicity of them. I don't really love, I don't love the busyness of the Nkosi's handles, to be honest. Um, I don't know. I love the Sabinzas. I love the way the Sabinzas look. To me, the, the, the differences of the Sabinzas and the Nkosis, for me, the main standout is just the little bit of extra heft that you get with the Nkosis. Um, and so it could look identical to a Sabinza and still be a different knife, in my opinion. And that's the most noticeable thing for me. Like when obviously these two aren't necessarily that comparable because the inlays actually do make a pretty big difference. So it's not like I have like a completely, unaffected and unbiased opinion on, like, say, the large Nkosi versus the large Sabinza. Um, what a lot of people don't realize, though, is that the inlays, they mill a bunch of titanium out of there. So a Chris Reeve knife with inlays is lighter weight than a plain Chris Reeve knife. So like this 31 is a good bit lighter than this 21, oddly enough. But the one, the one strange outlier that I'm like, what was Chris Reeve thinking whenever he? Dude, I really like this Nkosi, and the 31 is the shit too. Grinds where they make the knives use. Dude, I love the grinds on the Chris Reeve knives. But I gotta wonder, like, when Chris Reeve made this knife, because this is, I believe, I'm almost positive that the small Nkosi, which at its time of release was just called the Nkosi, um, there was no large Nkosi. There was a 21, no large 21 or small 21. There was a 20 or 21, 25, and then there was an Nkosi. But I gotta wonder what was he thinking, like with making it so small. I can't say that I would do any different because I do really like the knife, but man, that extra, it's about exactly 5/16 of an inch of extra, usable grip space, real estate in the handle. So I'm just like, did he just do it to be different? Or is there some reason why he was like, yeah, man, yeah, you gotta make it a little bit smaller? Yeah, I don't know. Um, but the first time I handled one was in said uh, brick and mortar store, and fuck, man, I honestly was like, yep, I'm leaving here with a small Nkosi, and and then it was between the Tonto and the Nsingo, and I was like, you know what, I'm always poo pooing on the Nsingo, I might as well, dude. You know what, I'm I just sold this house that I'm in here, and I just bought a house which is, I want to say, probably a 20-minute drive from that knife shop. So I have a feeling there's an Ultratech in my future. Because I plan on hanging out there for sure. It's a fucking amazing knife shop. And their social media and website blows, so I'm sure they would love it if someone came in there with a camera and did some videos for them. But dude, I don't really know. I haven't done any like hard cutting with this, and I have with like my small 21 here. I've used the shit out of this 21. These three knives have been just like staples. I mean, just the two 21s now, because 21s are going to become collector's items. And this is a 2009 21, which I believe is the finest Chris Reeve knife ever made. If you can get your hands on a 2009 21, it is by far the best. I've got videos on that if you want to see why I think so. Um, so I haven't put this through like a bunch of hard use cutting, but so I'm a little curious as far as how that would go, because that extra 5/16 of an inch on a Sabinza, it's substantial. Like I think I said in my video on this knife, solely on this knife, it's, that 5/16 of an inch doesn't seem like a lot, but it's, it's like the difference between a quarter and a nickel. You might be like, oh man, it's a nickel's 3/16 of an inch smaller than a quarter, or a nickel and a dime, but they're very vastly different sized coins, and I think that kind of comes into play with our comparison of an small Nkosi and a small Sabenza. And then on the flip, Chris Reeve had the chance to do what so many people have asked for. I couldn't give two shits, don't give a fuck. But so many people have asked for, what, drumroll, a fucking medium Sabenza. Everyone wanted a medium Sabenza. Had every opportunity to deliver a medium Sabenza with the Sabenza 25. But what did he do? He came out with the 25 and then later the large Nkosi. And for some reason, it is the exact goddamn size. Actually, shit, it's a little bit larger than, as far as like, when I think of handle real estate, I'm thinking, I call these the horns. I forget what people, I don't know what people actually call them. But between this pommel end and this front balls, like that's kind of what I gauge the usable handle length. But then threw a fucking curveball into it by making it, I'm gonna say the exact damn same size. You're not gonna pick up a Sabenza and an Nkosi and go, oh my God, one's a lot. It's just not that big of a difference. The Nkosi is more hefty for sure. Probably trying to reuse stuff. You mean like so that TCM says he's probably trying to reuse stuff. So assuming that he had a lot of shit left over from the 25, or I don't know, yeah, or because essentially, the only thing that Chris Reeve Knives uses that isn't widely used across the board is the Mnandi material. The Mnandi material is all specific to the Mnandi. Everything else, though, is, as far as I can tell, can share stuff. Maybe the small Sabenza, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But like small Nkosi uses the same stock thickness on handle scales and blade scales as the large Sabenza. And then I guess the Umnamzan and the Nkosi probably use all the same shit too. And then obviously small Sabenza, small Nkosi use the same size thumb stud. Small may have patterns they could reuse to cut down on stuff in RMD, or maybe someone thinks that when people ask for a medium Sabenza, they would actually buy them. They wouldn't actually buy them. I fucking wouldn't. It's just that's a weird place for knives to be, in my opinion. Although I would say, what's the fucking deal with 3.6 inches on the largest? Like, that's a real fucking dick punch right there. That's the difference between a completely illegal knife and a completely legal knife. That fucking, 1/10 of 1 inch. I mean, that is silly. They make the small Sabenza just a fucking cunt hair under 3 inches. Perfect. That is a fucking brilliant idea. But why the fuck would you go a cunt hair over 3.5 inches here? That just really blows my mind. I do not understand that. It had every opportunity and looked the fucking design in the eye and went, you know what? Let's make this barely illegal. Barely illegal. Like, that seems fucked up to me. But that's a factor, man. Honestly, I mean, who fucking wants their $500 knife to get confiscated? So, I mean, fuck that. That's ridiculous. I'm 42 and I'll be 43 in a month. And the last fucking thing I need or want is to, get in trouble with fucking law enforcement because they're like, hey, there's this guy carrying. Be real when it comes down to it. Yeah. So like when I go to like say the city or whatever, where it's like cut and dry. Denver, if you go to Denver, they fucking bypass all the state laws. You cannot have a knife over 3 inches. So I'm like, fucking native 5 or a small Sabenza is ideal. But shit, back in the day, I was just like, that's bullshit. I'm taking my fucking large Sabenza. Yeah, right under 3.5 or fucking exactly 3.5. You sharpen it twice and it's going to be under 3.5. So at that point, and I think if it's negligible, if it's like close, they're like, oh fuck, man, that's. But like if they measure it and it like you can see that it's over 3.5, and the fucking cop is like, that's a fucking Sabenza, son. That's my Sabenza. You know, I mean, who knows? You know, it's not unlikely, but because I mean, would assume, I don't fucking know. Um, the most law enforcement are probably knife enthusiasts, and in this day and age, if you go, you know, hey, I'm gonna buy a new knife, and you start looking at fucking reviews and shit, you're gonna pretty quickly, even in 2001, when I discovered this Abenza, I literally did an internet search, what is the best Benchmade, and fucking even in 2001, the best Benchmade was a small or a Sabenza, so. um, can't be, it's not out of reach, you know. But who knows? Maybe people look at that price and they go, yep, fuck that. Um, I looked at it and I went, well, they say it's the best, so I should probably experience that. And it's not like, you know, people reference like cars with Chris Reeve knife. There's no fucking comparison. $100 and $300 is way more comparable than 25,000 and 60,000. You know, like, no, not comparable. So, plus these fucking things, I think one of the main reasons all this, the reason EDC shit and knives have become so popularized in the last few years is because people are fucking keen to the BST, man. They fucking know that that shit isn't forever. It's not like you're going and buying a fucking, you know, a DeWalt drill versus a Ryobi drill. You're not fucking selling that DeWalt drill. You know, you're not, that's yours, and you just bought it, and that's how it's gonna be. But like with a knife, people are fucking savvy to like, oh shit, man, I can go buy a used one and lose $0 just to try it out, or I can buy a new one and lose $50, basically rent it for a year for $50. So it all works out, you know. Um, Obviously, people who are going to be into Chris Reeve knives in the end, you're gonna. The thing is, people are like, no, I mean, I'm not buying more than one $400 knife. Yeah, you are. You are. You're going to. That's what everyone will tell you, and you gotta fucking just believe it, man. And if you as a first time Chris Reeve buyer, listen to really honestly what anyone else thinks. You can get ideas. High end, yeah, no doubt. I got my fucking Strymons, son. That shit's expensive. I ain't fucking ever getting that money back. I got Moogs. I got fucking all kinds of cool. But that's, yeah. I look at those as investments. Fucking recreation is an investment. You know, everybody ought to take it seriously. Only got fucking one ride around this goddamn Blue Marvel, so as near as I can tell. But yeah, fuck man, you know. I, Whichever knife, if you're watching this video and you're oh Chase Bliss, yeah, no, that is fucking sick. Yeah, sick shit. Too many fucking dials and knobs and switches on those things though. It's yeah, I'm fucking retarded, man. I can barely remember the configuration of a fucking fuzz factory, barely. Um, but yeah, says the Strymon owner. um, what am I getting at here? Yeah, be very careful with people's advice because people buy this fucking shit and they just want to justify it, you know. So they're gonna tell you all these fucking things that they've reasoned in their mind that really, honestly, and fuck man, so many people don't even use the shit. Definitely don't listen to anybody who talks about blade retention and edge retention and sharp. Like if they say anything bad about this, they're fucking not knife users. That's all there is to it. Or maybe they work in a paper factory cutting paper. I have no fucking clue, but like, yeah. And when Chris Reeve Knives goes to S45 and that's a fucking dark day, honestly, man, because like, it's not as strideritis. it's not as it's not as durable. So like, it's not a proper EDC steel, in my opinion. VG10 is a proper EDC steel, not fucking M390. It just isn't. 3V is a great EDC steel. But yeah, but not very corrosion resistant. Although it really is, it's fucking great. But yeah, my most important thing, BG42 was the shit, man. I love BG42 back in the Dizzy. Um, I think you ought to buy what really gravitates to you the most. Do you live in a rural area? Consider a large, because it just is a fact. The larger Chris Reeve knives absolutely is a more diverse cutting tool. Period. That's all there is to it. But if you kind of are like thinking, you live in the city, you live in like, you're just kind of a EDC, guy who lives, who's not just fucking carving turkeys and shit with with your cutting open cantaloupes or whatever it is. Um, yeah. There's no right answer, but you got to go with what you gravitate towards. Starting with aesthetics is absolutely a understandable way to go about it, because you're gonna end up gravitating towards that one that caught your eye from the get go. Um, I like Honestly, I like the plain knives, and for me, the sexiest knife in the Chris Reeve knives lineup is a small Sabenza 21 or 31. I'm not. I don't think it fucking matters. The whole 21 through versus 31 debate. That's a 31, obviously. That's a 21, obviously. It's a fucking moot point. Chris Reeve Knives is a great knife company. They will absolutely end up constant quality, improving that shit. They're dialing it in. Yes, I had to send my 31 in for fucking warranty work right off the bat. I guess, I did do a little video on that. So you can watch that little video if you're so inclined. It's short, it's like a 5-minute video. Yeah, I mean, for me, all these knives were fucking stolen, the very first knife that I would buy, very first, would be a small, plain, double lug 31. That'd be what I would buy. So, anyway, my wife is going to get home from yoga soon, and I told her I would clean the house before she got home. I meant to do some more comparisons and stuff with fixed blades and such, but don't think I'm going to be able to do that. A lot of people I did want to brush on will say that, warranty, PRS, yeah. The worst was my Shirogorov. I will never own another Shirogorov after that. It's not that they did anything bad, it's just that they're across the fucking world. That's all, and it's not fun. But yeah, the whole like debate, why would you carry a large Sabenza when, you should just be carrying a fixed blade? I don't know. It doesn't, I get it, but I am a knife user every day. As a matter of fact, I've already fucking chipped this goddamn Nkosi. Look at that. You son of a bitch, Arch. I can't believe it. I don't even know how I did that. But again, I try not to overthink shit. I'm like, just like, that seems a reasonable thing to do with my knife. I probably pried something with it. I have no fucking idea. But, yeah. The whole like fixed blade versus folder, debate, I think, it doesn't matter. That's a fucking moot point. The truth is, it's not comfortable to carry a fixed blade all the time, and that's really all it boils down to for me. Is like, Foley knife does 99% of everything I could ever ask it to do without like getting into fucking imaginary scenarios. Come on, fucker! Goddamn watch keeps starting timers. But yeah, I like folders. I'm a folder guy. I've decided. Does that mean I'm done with fixed blade knives? No. But at the same time, I feel like I have probably the 2 best fixed blade knives overall that a person could ever own. Why would you want too much more than this? Again, CPM 3V, I don't think I would ever own a fixed blade knife for anything else unless it was like an extremely corrosion resistant knife, LC 200N, something like that. And that was my primary focus on it. But I hope this video is helpful for anybody watching it. Just kind of rambling. At the end of the story is these knives, they're similar enough that they overlap each other. Is the extra heft of an Nkosi, how much stronger is it than a Sabenza? Does the fact that a Sabenza has 2 screws negate the one big one on the Nkosi? Because let's not forget, that stop pin on these fuckers does fuck all. Well, you know, it obviously is a good stop pin. It probably does kind of fight a little bit of lateral stresses and kind of weird movement in the handle scales because the tolerances are super, super tight. Like any of us who have taken these things apart knows, like that little pin is tight in this show side. So it does do something in that regard. Um, but I say 6 in one, half a dozen in the other. I do not have a preference. Like people are like, oh, gotta have that pivot bushing. For what? Like, what the fuck do you think it actually does? The only thing it actually does is it makes it so when you're squeezing the knife, you're not squeezing against the blade. That's the only difference. I mean, sure, it's like set it and forget it, you know, whatever, but why are you fucking taking your knife apart so much? You know, like you don't need to set it and forget it. I mean, you can set it, whatever. You know what I mean. Anyway, I'm gonna split, dudes. Palabra tu madre. Don't let your meat loaf. Boy.